right, episode 2, and James is late. You know, I thought we'd get to at least episode 3 before the wheels fell off, but... Oh, wait. There you are.
Who's running late? Who's running late? Am I running late, or are you running late?
I don't know. I was just telling everyone that you were running late. How's the view under the bus there?
The view under the bus is fantastic. It looks like you've got some kind of 70s shagtastic rug on your desk. What on earth is that?
This is my extremely professional podcasting setup, James. This is about achieving quality audio.
Yeah. For any of the listeners, I think I'm going to take a screenshot of that right now because I think that's worthy.
It is. It's. Some people use that egg crate stuff. There's a whole lot of products one can buy for this. I've not invested in that yet, although I've bought a new microphone. This is a new...
I was going to say.
Yeah, it's got the pop filter. I tend to do a lot of popping, so I'm pretty excited. I'm very excited. I'm sure the listeners are excited too.
Dude, I'm excited. In fact, when you showed me that microphone the other day, I went on Amazon and bought the exact same one. It hasn't arrived yet, unfortunately, but I'm on.
There you go.
I will be
Look
on.
at us. Matching T-shirts, seemingly. Although mine isn't Carhartt. I'm sure yours is.
Actually, for once, I'm wearing Reebok.
Reebok? Wow. Yeah. They're still around?
Yeah, they were doing all of the merchandise and the kits for the NFL for a couple of years.
Really?
Yeah, that's probably the only thing keeping them in business, and me.
Well, now do you know what? And actually, their sort of mid '80s white tennis shoes have come into fashion again. I may have bought some recently. Some of my cooler friends are rocking them. Anyway, as much as I love talking black t-shirts and white tennis shoes, shall we get into it?
Let's roll those credits.
Welcome to Curb and Canyon. My man,
We're back. Episode 2.
Episode 2. We've done it. I mean, this to me now says we're legitimate. We're serious. We did one that could have just been a flash in the pan, but we've actually showed up for our second.
I know. I'm impressed. And before it's due to go out, so that we've got time to edit it and get it out on time.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Do you know? And how'd we do with that first podcast? Results are in. Are we a hit?
Pretty well, actually. I mean, I don't know what qualifies to be a hit, but our first episode got just as many downloads as an average auto amateur podcast. Right. So that just means that my regular listeners have decided to tune in to this podcast. I don't know if we've picked up any new viewers, but we've had quite a few hits on the website. We've had quite a few people subscribe to our feed. I haven't been checking in on Instagram. That's sort of more in
my domain,
more in your side of things at the moment. Yeah, your domain. But I think it was good. And just personally, I've had so much nice feedback via direct messages from people saying they enjoyed the first episode and they're looking forward to more. So the pressure's on now, Andy, even more than it was last week.
Listen, don't come here and put that on me. With the pressure's on both of us. Both of us. We're going to lift. I tell you though, yes. I mean, I mentioned it to my mum, and you'll probably see a little spike of listenership and from her and her friends, and it probably just confirms my long-held belief that the over 70s women are probably an untapped gold mine for a podcast like ours.
It's funny you should say that because my mum's 69 and she's just started getting into podcasts. So hopefully come April, she'll be in that demographic as well.
She'll be messaging on Instagram. I'll be like, oh my God, it's James' mum again, please.
Do you think that's why we're number 4 in the automotive and leisure category in Australia? Has your mum been listening to this on repeat for a week?
She must have been. Either that, or there's only 4 auto podcasts in this country. It's probably the likely reason.
Well, I thought that was pretty impressive. I don't know about the stats for the rest of the world, but it was interesting to get that one from Australia Pods feed or wherever it was I found.
I wonder if that's probably just all friends of mine, I'd say. Although that sounds like I've got a whole lot of friends. I know 3 people. What am I talking about?
And it's the same 3 people that are in all of your videos.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So it looks like you've been making a video. It looks like you've been playing around with a rather gorgeous looking second generation 997. I mean, can I just move that to the top of the agenda?
Do it. Yeah, do it. My friend Anthony, this car, I've driven this car twice now, and every time I drive it, I adore it. And Generation 2 997s are having the values on them are nuts. I mean, the values on everything are nuts, as you know, but they are particularly crazy right now. And I think they sit in this little pocket where, 996 values are coming up, which obviously is going to push 997 values up. The number of second gen 997s that came to this market is really quite small. There weren't a lot delivered to Australia, so you very rarely see them. And it's just a beautiful car. It's got that second gen 997 tail lights, which start to introduce some of the visuals that we see in the 991. But the size of it is just so good. It's one of my favorite cars to drive behind, and the few drives that I've had of it, I just love it. So I wanted to do a review on it and really get to the bottom of, this little 997.2 bubble. Is it legit, and are they the real deal? And spoiler alert, I think they are. I think they're amazing.
Yeah.
But we had a great night, man. We went and shot. I was really keen to do some filming with this car in the city. And my good friend Al, who runs Flat Six Affair, Al, we wanted to do a bit of a collab. So we, had a late night in the city on a Monday night with nobody around. We found a bunch of great locations and we're shooting until 1 a.m. It was so
wow.
cool. I know, it made me feel young again. Until the next morning when I felt really old again. But, it was. I tell you what, the one little snafu of the night was that there's a car park location which featured in the first Mad Max film. It is an incredible location and really difficult to find, and we found it. And I was so excited to film in there. It's got these sort of curved archway pillars. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's actually, in Mad Max, it's the place where he first sees the Black Interceptor, the last of the V8s, all that stuff. It's awesome. And we finally found it. We had to drive into this Melbourne University campus. So I was just expecting to be chased out of there by security.
Yeah.
Find the car park, drive in. It's like full of smoke. I was thinking, what the hell is going on here? Well, so as we pull in, it turns out there's already a film crew down there.
No way.
They've got hazer machines and they're filming, I don't know, a music video or something. So they told us we had to get out. So I'm sure they'd paid for the privilege to use this location, unlike us trying to do it guerrilla style. But anyway, it was great, and we got some rolling footage which looks awesome. Just a killer car. So I can't wait to do that review.
Well, it's an interesting topic, especially when you think that the second gen 997 was released with a huge amount of anticipation because of the popularity of the first generation 997, but it came out around the housing crisis. So the market
GFC.
People buying cars sort of tanked. They didn't produce as many numbers as they were expecting to. It was a limited run. I think it was 2009 to 12. I mean, just sort of 3 years. To see one even in the States here is pretty rare. I've seen a GT3 RS, I think it was, or just the GT3 of the second gen, and that was just, oh my goodness, that was so gorgeous. But to find something like that is a rarity, and it's got the completely rebuilt engine, so there's no risk of IMS failure. It's bulletproof there. That's right.
Well. Yeah, 100%. And they made there's some really nice, it's not a big deal, but there's some really nice changes to the interior as well. The PCM on that first gen 997 is, I think it's got the telephone keypad and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Or maybe it's a telephone dial. I can't remember. It's pretty old school either way. And they've updated the PCM, so the interior certainly feels like it's had a step up in quality. And when I've driven that car, what amazes me is it's a base Carrera with sports exhaust manual, and it's so responsive. it feels so modern, and yet it feels small. It feels like you can really throw it into little corners. It's the perfect size, and that was one of my criticisms of the 991, was that on a more technical road, it just felt too big of a car.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the 997 just fits in this amazing space. So I love them. I can't wait to shoot the review with it.
Yeah, that sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Now, other interesting news in the Porsche world, and this just absolutely blows my mind. One of the Porsches that got me hooked originally was the one from the Bad Boys movie, and it's sold.
Yeah, it did indeed.
It's sold. How much did it sell for? It was like crazy amounts.
Well, yeah, 1.3 million USD, but I think there's once you add sellers' fees and stuff, it was 1.43 million US dollars. We're talking about Michael Bay's original Bad Boys 964 Turbo. Oh, what a car!
So that's the actual car from the movie, the one they used on the set.
It is. It's interesting, actually, because so that was his personal car. And he had apparently asked Porsche if they wanted to supply a car, to which they responded no. And I'm pretty sure Bad Boys was his first feature. Prior to that, he was doing music videos.
That's right, exactly, yeah.
Music videos must have been paying really well back in the early 90s, because he had what was a limited run 964 Turbo in his garage on the back of doing a bunch of music videos. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? You know, that whole first scene where we first meet Martin Lawrence and Will Smith, and they're driving the car with that sunrise. That must have just been a little love letter to that car that he just adored so much. But he sold it to a mate for 60 grand.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Did he sell that in the 90s for 60 grand?
Well, yeah, must have been. Yeah, because that then apparently his mate, I think it was the producer actually, he then went on to sell it for 45 grand. And an interesting postscript was that Michael Bay has come out this week on social media and said that what a lot of people don't know is that when he owned that car, it was actually stolen out of his garage, and then he somehow recovered it. And he left that open, so I don't know if he wants us to think that he, chased down the thieves and held them at gunpoint or tackled them, or who knows. But anyway, allegedly, it was stolen from his garage, and he recovered it personally himself. So well done, Michael Bay. But what a car, eh?
Oh, I know. I mean, all right, it's gorgeous, but how much of that price is, sort of pop culture value versus what the true value of that car is? I mean, you see Carrera GTs sell for that much. And no disrespect to that car, but that's not a Carrera GT.
No, true that. It's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, it's not. I looked in, and the 928 from Risky Business actually sold for 1.98 million, so it sold for more, which surprised me. I mean, Risky Business, okay, that's Tom Cruise, Rebecca De Mornay. You've got it's a bigger kind of hit across a broader audience, perhaps. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm not sure the 928 would have started as many Porsche passions as that 964 Turbo. However, there again, wasn't Rebecca De Mornay draped across it in a scene? And I wonder if that perhaps elevated its value.
Some Rebecca De Mornay fan is now currently sniffing that patch of leather.
He's just in his garage at night. Just a gentle lick. It's okay. Well,
Good night, Rebecca.
You know what? Yeah. On Bring a Trailer, the 964 turbos are going, that 3.6, so that second gen 964 turbo, they're sort of going around 3 to 350. So it's a big step up from those.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm the worst one to ask about values. To be honest, I could have seen it going for more than that, just because it is such a special and unique car. If I had the money, I would have paid more for it.
I was about to say the same. If I had that money rolling around to throw at a car at a whim, I would have happily spent that on the car from Bad Boys. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but it brings up two questions for me, because I imagine I don't think we know anything about the buyer, but I imagine they're a collector. And it'll sit in a collection somewhere. We think about cars a little differently, obviously, but if you had the money and if you bought that car, two questions for you, James. Would you A, drive it, and would you B, modify it?
Ooh,
I'd love to see videos of you out in the garage doing deviated stitching and
could you imagine how much hate I would get? Could you imagine how much hate I would get for doing that?
That would be amazing.
In all honesty, I would not modify that car at all. The only thing I would do was I would drive it for sure. It wouldn't just sit there, gathering dust. I'd drive it, but I wouldn't modify it. I would just restore it. So if the bolster needed, replacing, if the dash was scratched up or what have you, I'd try and make it factory fresh again. But no, I wouldn't do the usual auto amateur decal and deviated stitching treatments that I've become well known for.
No, but you would, right? You'd have to drive that thing. I'd drive the hell out of it. I'd take it on the hills. I'd take it in the twisties. And this may be controversial, but I would do two modifications to it. I'd put it on coilovers so that I could lower it. It's got that classic 964 factory, go off-roading style ride height.
Yeah.
And just put some spaces in there just to get the stance right, because that's an easy thing that when I come to sell the car for $2.4 million in 10 years' time, it's easy to put the original suspension back on. It's not a biggie, but I'd want that stance absolutely dialed while I had it. But that's just me.
I could live with that. What else would you do?
No, nothing other than that. Same as you. If it needed restoring, which I don't think it does, I think it had. I think it's had a restoration not that long ago.
Oh, really?
I'd do that as well. But no, look. Other than that, I just want to enjoy it and drive it and be seen in it.
Yeah.
I just think it's gorgeous.
What I want to know is, was it Michael Bay's mate who bought it, or was it Michael Bay's mate who sold it who bought it?
You mean did he buy it back?
Yeah. Or I'm fascinated. I want to know who bought it.
Well, imagine how much you'd hate yourself though, knowing you'd sold it for $45,000 and then you bought it back for 1 point. Yeah. There'd be a lot of self-hate going on, right?
Absolutely.
Like looking in the mirror, just
yeah.
It's funny though, because it got me thinking that Porsches have appeared in many films. Their state in pop culture is, it's pretty well guaranteed. And I just wondered if there were others that had really captured your attention over the journey.
Well, actually one, and it makes me feel kind of old because I watched Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage and Angelina Jolie again a few weeks ago.
Yep.
And I remember one of the characters stealing a Porsche at the
silver
beginning.
996, right?
Right, driving it through the window. I didn't remember it was a 996. I certainly didn't remember it was a first generation 996 with the runny egg headlights. And as he was popping through the window, I was like, oh man, I'm old. That's sad. That's really sad. It wasn't so old that it was a cool 993. And it wasn't recent enough that it was a 997, but it was that late 90s, early 2000 996 that came popping out the window. I was absolutely gutted. But I've tried to think about other movies where I've seen 911s, and I don't personally. My impression is they don't appear in as many as you would expect. You see a lot of Mustangs, you see a lot of Mercedes, you see loads of the American muscle cars. In all of the Fast and Furious movies, there's one, right? There's a 996
that blue GT3
RS. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, there's a couple that stick out to me. Bad Boys is absolutely the one. I mean, I saw that film. I saw it twice in the cinema, and the second time I saw it in the cinema was literally because I wanted to see the car again.
Oh wow! Really?
And I was already a Porsche fan at that point, and I was a big 964 fan because that was the car at the moment. And yeah, I went twice to the cinema just to see the car again. But they show up here and there. There was what's the Harrison Ford film? Not Clear and Present Danger. The other one where he's Jack Ryan. His wife has this like brown 3.2 Targa that's beautiful and ends up crashing on a freeway.
Patriot Games.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Sean Bean like shoots at it and she crashes it on the freeway. But it's a beautiful car. And yeah, she's this like sexy older doctor driving in a leather gloves, and she's great.
Right.
But there's a little known telly movie that came out in the early 80s starring Michael J. Fox called High School USA. And I loved that film when I was a kid. And he ends up, and it's this like ensemble cast of the who's who of TV has-beens at the time.
Yeah.
And he ends up having to have a race with the school rich bully guy who's Anthony Daniels from who's Goose from Top Gun, right? But this is pre-Top Gun, and he's got this like 74, I think, Targa, light blue Targa.
Oh, really?
And that car's killer. They have this race on some dirt road, and he's trying to nudge Michael J. Fox off the road. Of course, Michael J. Fox ends up winning the race, but that car was so cool. And I remember that had a real impact on me back in the mid 80s as a primary school kid. Ace car.
I've got one for you. 90210, the TV series from the 80s.
Oh my God.
Luke Perry, right? Didn't
the Speedster?
Yeah, there you go. He had that convertible at Speedster. It looked like it was in mint condition, and he threw it around like it was a beater.
He did. And you know, actually interesting because, and yeah, I'm aging myself here, but I quite liked that show. And I remember there was an episode where he had one of the kids, the brother and sister, Brandon and
Jason Priestley. You see, I was a
Jason
fan
Priestley.
As
well. Yeah. So their dad was somehow charged with looking after Luke Perry's money, and he said, "Listen, you can't keep driving that car. You got to get something responsible." And so then Luke Perry's character shows up in a brand new 964, and it's first gen 964 that still has the same wheels off a 928, so it's even before the D90 wheels. But I remember just seeing it, and it was like bronze. It was horrible, but that was I think the first time I saw a 964, and I was like,
"Oh no way,
that looks amazing!" And then literally 10 minutes later in the show, he gets carjacked. The car gets stolen, and we never see it again. Which is very, very disappointing.
Speaking of 80s and 90s, I mean, we're heading to a pretty big milestone right now with Porsche. Is it, what's the latest anniversary edition? 50 years.
Yeah, but it's 50 years of Porsche design, right? Which is the kind of design arm of the business set up by Bootsy I was about to say way back when. Let's take a punt and say it was probably 50 years ago.
Ish.
So yeah,
maybe
they've give or take. So they've released a special edition Targa 4S, which I think they've called the Porsche 911 Edition 50 Years Porsche Design, or
that rolls off the tongue.
This nomenclature is amazing. The the E50YPD. Can't wait to see that as a badge across the rear.
That's going to be awful.
Yeah. So it's a black Targa with some black touches I think it references the original chronograph that came out as the first watch that Porsche Design released.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do we think of these limited editions?
So it's difficult, and I know a couple of people with the anniversary editions, especially, and I don't want to offend them, but I like the limited editions conceptually. Like the T that was released in the 991 generation, I thought was just beautiful. And then you can talk about the touring editions, the GT3, etc. But the anniversary editions, I haven't been a really big fan. I know somebody with the 996, and that was, can't remember now, was that the 40-year edition?
Yes, I think it is.
I think 40-year edition, with the 996.
Yeah,
honestly, wasn't a massive fan. And then the 50th anniversary edition of which came out with the 991. Again, all right, the deck lid was pretty cool, but the badging, I don't find it special enough to warrant any extra money. And it almost makes it stand out in a bad way, I think, from the 911 crowd, where the T, that is a highly desirable limited edition, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, is the T? I don't think the T is limited though. I think they're going to do that again with the 992. No.
Oh, I'm sorry. So what would be your definition of limited then?
I don't know. Like you say, the 40th anniversary. I mean, who cares? We don't need to get into the weeds of what's limited and what's not, I suppose. But it's these ones. It's like the Heritage Pack they've done with I think with the Targa, or like you say, these 40th anniversary or the Sport Edition. Mind you, that Sport Edition one, ooh. I think I think it's funny, isn't it? Because it's not like it's that different, but I think just about everyone you talk to about that car has that reaction to it, where it's like, oh yeah, there's something there. This to me just feels a little bit too much like, I don't know, marketing getting involved, and you know, it's a chance to move some cars that don't necessarily have, you know, a huge amount of benefit to them. I must say that I do like the I actually quite like the anniversary editions. My friend Dale has the 40th anniversary 996, and it's I like that car. I like the look of it. I like what they've done with it. I'm actually a fan of that. But there's a 964 limited edition. So that's the anniversary. I guess it's the 30-year for sale somewhere here at the moment. Here it is. I'm just bringing it right up. So 1993 964 30-year anniversary edition for $595,990 Australian.
Wow.
To quote an Australian movie that many of our US listeners would not have seen, tell him he's dreaming. That's because that's
where are my Tim Tams?
Yeah, exactly. Well, because it's fundamentally a wide body 964 without any extra power, so more weight.
Why is that special?
Yeah, it's cool. I like them. I think they look cool, but that's in this market. That's 964 3.6 turbo money almost. So that doesn't make sense to me.
So if you were going to choose any, let's call them either limited editions or special editions, which one would it be? From any generation, but you had to pick one.
Am I allowed to go into? I mean, there's a few, right? Like, am I allowed to go into like 964 RS sort of space here, or is that just
why not?
That's a Rensport thing? Well, because that's something like that for sure. A 27 RS, obviously. But I suppose if I had to choose one that's limited edition by virtue of the badge and some design touches, probably the Sport design. There was a 997 version of that, wasn't there?
The second generation 997 Sports Classic.
Sport Classic, that's the one with the ducktail. Yeah. I'd probably grab one of those. I think they look great.
I was going to say, I think for me it would either be that Sports Classic, or it would be, if this sort of fits underneath the definition of the term, it would be the GT3 Touring from the 991.2 generation. I just love everything about that car. Everything.
Have you ever come across anyone who has not said that about a GT3 Touring? Do you know what I mean? It's the car that
I don't think so.
Literally everyone wants, that everyone just lords. And, you know, there was that great video that Chris Harris put out, I don't know, I guess a month ago, where he was driving his yellow GT3 Touring. And it wasn't a review so much as a here's why I love it kind of a video. And I just watched it just thinking, yeah, mate, you're not going to get any arguments from me. And I've not looked at the comments, but I doubt there's a single person in the comments saying, yeah, but wouldn't a such and such be better? What possibly could be better?
Yeah. It's hard to think about it. I mean, maybe there's a air-cooled selection and a water-cooled selection, maybe. But then, you're just dreaming. But in fact, quick sidebar, my wife Ruthie is helping a couple move from out of town into town, and they're downsizing. Basically, their kids have flown the nest and gone to university. They're selling a house, which is very nice, but it's not, like a mansion or anything. It has a 12-stall garage.
What?
12, 1, 2, a 12-stall garage. And they want to, move into the city and downsize and be close to the university or what have you. And I've said, Ruthie, we're going. Let's just buy it. I want it.
Yeah.
I don't care where it is. 12-car garage. But when you start thinking in those terms, you really do start going down the line of, okay, well, if I had, $10 million, I'd get this air-cooled special edition over here, and this rough here, and this RS, and this 991, and I could easily fill a 12-store garage with all my favorite 911s.
Easily.
We wouldn't even get out of the 911 generation, or the 911 category. I wouldn't even get to Caymans. I wouldn't get to any of the other models. I could pick 12 911s.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I think about it and I think somewhere in that mix, I'd love to throw a short wheelbase Bronco and maybe a 66 notchback Mustang. But I know I'd fill the 12 spaces with 911s and be like, oh, well, I guess if I get a short wheelbase old Bronco, I could park it out the front of the house.
I was going to say, just put that puppy on the street.
Yeah. But it's true. I know. It doesn't bear thinking about, does it? Because you could spend all day just dreaming about what would I do if I had to fill those slots? Where would I start? And that's, of course, assuming you have the means via which to fill said slots.
Yeah. There's a columnist actually in Total 911, a guy in Texas. And for the columnists in the Living a Legend section, they have, the person's name, they have the cars that they own and where they are. And most of it is like, here's John Smith from London who has a 996, and, here's Lee Sibley and he has this 996. And then there's this guy in Texas that has like a list of 20 cars. And it looks like they've all just been acquired, because they also say date acquired. He had like one, and then he had two, and then there was maybe a little bit of a gap. And then over the last 5 years, he's acquired the other 10.
Good Lord. Wow.
And just imagining some kind of, cattle ranch in Texas with unlimited space, and he's just filling it with 911s.
Oh my goodness.
You can dream.
Hey, and well done for showing restraint and not using that as an opportunity to plug your own column there, James. That was impressive.
I'm not that kind of guy. Total 911. It's available every month.
So any news on the 996 front?
Yeah. So trim pieces and parts keep showing up at my door, which I don't want to install until I get my seats back. So I guess to fill the time between taking my seats out and getting them back, I've been thinking, there's a bit of plastic trim I could buy new, $50. There's another bit of trim I could buy new, $20. So I've had a number of those arrive. My blue deviated seat belts have arrived. And I haven't installed them yet, but I've held them in place, and they look so good. I'm really happy with the results. Yeah, I really like them.
Right on. Yeah, cool.
So that's going to be the next major job in the next few weeks, because I'm expecting the seats back, or the chairs, as I like to call them, in the next week.
Whenever you say chairs, I just imagine lounging back, I don't know, with a whiskey, patting my Labrador, just like I say, Eames versus Recaro.
What you do on your own time is your business. So that's the seatbelts in the interior. That's going to be a video, but I just can't wait for the engine to show up. That's due to show up middle of February, so we're like 4 weeks away from getting it, and it's going to get delivered directly to Porsche Minneapolis, and it's go time. I can't wait to get that in and get it moving.
So do you know what? I thought about this post our conversation last week, that you've got the 996, which you're in the throes of, getting back up and running. We're not talking about modifying it, restoring it. We're talking about making this thing roadworthy. You're going to get that done, and then immediately thereafter set off on a thousands of miles road trip. I don't want to make you feel anxious at all. That's not my job. But it did get me wondering, will you have an opportunity to really shake that car down? And because, not only is it going to need to work as a grand tourer to get you where you need to go, but you're going to want to be throwing it around the twisties and the like. And so, things like suspension geometry and all that stuff that you haven't had the opportunity yet to really get dialed, will you have the chance to do that before you take off for the Rockies?
I hope so. The plan is to get the car back in early March, so that I can spend the best part of March and April, tuning it in before we then set off in the middle of May.
Yeah, yeah.
So I hope that sort of 8-week period gives me enough time.
Yeah, that's enough time. And you're out of snow by then, right? Like you'll have roads and you can go and do that.
Well, you see that? No, not necessarily. We can get snow as late as the end of May. Frankly, in fact, it's ridiculous. In fact, one of the passes that we've got on the itinerary for the trip in northern Colorado is dependent on whether or not it snows. Because if it snows, they close the road down, and if it's clear, they'll keep it open.
Does that stop you? Is there a long way around? Like if they close the road, does that stop you from getting where you need to go?
No, because we're actually traveling,
or it's an up and back.
It's an up and back. Yes, we're traveling down the Rockies and over and up as opposed to across. So it should be fine. But it means instead of driving through beautiful, canyons and mountain ranges, you're driving through the boring cornfields.
You're on an interstate.
Whatever Midwest state we're close to. I don't know, Oklahoma maybe? I don't know. Yeah, no offense to anybody in Oklahoma, but driving through your state is boring.
So how many miles is it going to be in total?
I think off the top of my head, it's like a 3,000-mile round trip.
So I would love it if your video for the trip starts with, "Hey guys, I'm James from Auto Amateur. I'm about to start a 3,000-mile road trip, and this is the first time I've started the car. Wish me luck."
That's absolutely the type of thing I would do. But it's kind of it's like I'm heading hopefully into a win-win situation. If the car proves itself within the first 6 to 8 weeks of getting it back, I take that car. If it doesn't, it's going to fail pretty quickly, I think. I don't think it's going to fail in week 6 or 7. If something's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong pretty quickly. And then that gives me 6 weeks to find my next 911 and buy my next 911 instead of waiting until the end of the year. Now, I might need to think about, I don't know, counseling for my wife or divorce proceedings, but I'll deal with that in slow time.
You just factor that into the budget.
Lawyer fees.
Yeah, that's fine. Like everything's solvable. It's everything can be fixed. There's a solution. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, no, totally.
Well, I had an interesting week with the 964. I think in the last episode I talked about the very well-known issue with the 964 being the PDAS and ABS lights coming up in the dash. So I took the car to my good friends at 9 Auto to see if we couldn't resolve that. I think I'd mentioned that it might have been an ABS booster pump or any of the above. I got a call the day after I took it there saying, "Yeah, the car's fixed, it's ready to go." And I was expecting it would be there for at least a week. And I said, "Oh, what? This is embarrassing. I'm not sure I want to tell this story now." No, I will.
Well, I've got an embarrassing one to share with you as well. So you go first.
Okay. So we'll do this as a watch out for our listeners, as a learning for any air-cooled listeners out there. They said, "Yeah, we topped up the brake fluid, and she's good to go." So it was the brake fluid needed to be topped up. Now, in my let me just lay out some things that perhaps will make me seem like less of a moron, because in my defense,
it was also out of gas.
That's right. And had full flat tires. No, in my defense, my mate Gerard, who also has a 964, he had said to me, "Hey, I assume you've checked the brake fluid level," and I'm like, "Sure, I'm not an idiot." So I had, but apparently there's actually quite the procedure when it comes to checking your brake fluid level in a 964. It's not as simple as, pop the hood and take a look and see if it's right.
Yeah.
it has to be cold, but then you have to have started the car and got the brake pump. Look, I don't know. It's something like this. This is not an instructional piece, obviously. Anyway, however it's supposed to be done, I had not done it. So it appeared to me to be full, and in fact appeared as though it was actually at the full line. But once the brake booster pump comes in, I think that sort of empties it out or something, and that's the point at which you need to look at the levels. It's something like that. Either way, like a lot of these old cars.
Thank God you're not working on my 964. Thank God.
Oh no, I'd be great with it. I think it's one of those things though with a 964. It's the same with the oil level. When you look at the gauge on the dash, the difference between full and empty is like 400 mils, not even. It's nothing. So I think it's a bit of that sort of situation. So anyway, the car is back, and I have no more warning lights on my dash. So I'm a very happy camper. So what was your embarrassing story?
Well, I did an Apple CarPlay install this week for a garage here in the Twin Cities that specializes in German cars. And this was a job that they asked me to do in October. And, I got hold of the unit, et cetera, in October. And in November, job got cancelled. December, job got cancelled. Probably because the owner of this absolutely ridiculously well-spec'd 991 Turbo didn't want to drive it, 50 miles in the snow and ice.
Yeah.
So after months and months, I finally get a call. I've got the time to do it. So I go down to the shop and I spend, 3 or 4 hours getting it installed, getting it working. It's fine. The owner was there pretty much the whole time. So I had that kind of pressure to get the job done relatively quickly. But I intentionally said to myself as I was doing the job, just take your time, just try and act like a pro and don't rush it. You don't want to nick a panel or, cut a wire or just do something James-like. You don't want to take a knife to the airbag. So I did a really, really great job of installing the Apple CarPlay unit. I even gave him a personal how-to of using it and setting it up. And I was so proud of myself. I felt like a true professional for the first time in my auto amateur career. It's like, wow, I went down to the shop, a turbo owner, this gorgeous car. I worked on it. I got it installed. He asked me a bunch of questions. I could answer all of them. I was feeling pretty good about life. I was feeling really good about life. On my way home, and I didn't have any time to go back to the store because I had to head out to a meeting to get my day started. I got a text message from the owner of the garage saying, hey, the backup camera doesn't work. And I'm like, oh no, have I cut a wire? And why wouldn't it work? I tested everything. It was fine. So I'm doing voice to text on Apple CarPlay in my own car driving home. And I'm trying to break it down. Okay, is the power on? Maybe it's a wiring issue. Coming up with 3 or 4 different scenarios and they're all relatively simple fixes if the backup cam's not working. And I was like, is it a factory camera or is it aftermarket? And he replies back, and Siri reads to me, in the Siri voice.
Yeah.
There is no backup camera. And at that point in time, it suddenly hit me that I was supposed to have installed the backup camera. And I had totally forgotten to install a backup camera. So there I am thinking, all right, I'm the pro. I can fix this. I'm sure it's not a big issue. It must have been a factory camera. And then he was like, no, dude, you haven't installed a backup camera. Can you come back? And embarrassingly, I couldn't go back. So the guy drove home in his beautiful turbo with Apple CarPlay, but without his backup camera. So now I've got to try and figure out a date and time to go to his place to get the job done. And that's embarrassing. I was so embarrassed. So embarrassed. I was doing this as a favor on behalf of my friend that owns this garage. And I was like, mate, I'm really sorry. I've made you look like a complete dick.
And there you were doing new logo designs for your new YouTube channel called Auto Pro.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm going to have to put those plans on hold. So embarrassing.
Damn. I mean, look, at least you can say that. You can say, listen, yeah, the title really says it all, mate. Like that's about managing your expectations. I am an amateur.
What do you expect?
Yeah, that's right. I never said I was auto pro. If I had have, then you'd have a leg to stand on.
Exactly. I use duct tape. I don't do any welding. You know, just you need to.
That's it. Duct tape and cable ties, right? Like it's very.
What else do you need? Yeah, what else do you need? I did actually use a significant amount of cable ties for that job to keep everything in place.
You did.
I did.
Do you know, I once had the shifter on my 964, there's a coupling underneath it which broke, and it couldn't be fixed for about a week, and my mechanic actually cable tied it. He's like, it's fine. It'll just cable tie it. He said, maybe don't go slamming through the gears, but you'll be fine. And it was. Actually, that was something else. Just ducking back to the 964 for a second. You know, when you have something that goes wrong with your car gradually over time, and you almost either A, don't notice it, or B, you wonder if you're imagining it.
Yeah.
I felt like my shifter feel was maybe a little bit sloppy. I just didn't feel that great. But again, I just thought that maybe that's what it's always been like. I can't remember. And when I picked the car up, my mechanic, Stuart, said to me, he said, the first thing I noticed when I drove the car into the shop was the shifter felt terrible. So I've got a Sleepers short shift kit, and they have a little bit of a habit of there's a bolt that kind of connects I'm not going to say what it does, but it has a habit of coming loose, and this had actually come loose. So it's been tightened up, Loctited and all that stuff. And when I picked the car up, the difference in shifter feel,
wow,
it's night and day. It's gone from this sloppy, wooden spoon in a saucepan of soup to just this rifle action. It's phenomenal. I was like, far out.
Oh, that's cool.
It should have been like that the whole time.
I embarrassingly don't know what a good shifter in a performance car like this should feel like, because driving manual cars was always the crappy ones that I had in the UK growing up, like my Ford Fiesta. Yeah. And I crunched that gearbox so many times, it was always going to feel terrible, even in the first place. When I moved over to slightly better cars, I had automatic cars.
And you wonder why no one wants you to drive their cars in videos.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. 2 + 2 = idiot. My 997 was manual, and that was the first time I'd ever really driven a performance car, a manual performance car. And I thought, well, okay, I guess this is as good as it gets. It wasn't great. It wasn't really great driving it back from Chicago, but I took it in and there was a problem with the clutch, and I think it was the slave cylinder problem, and there was some other issue with the clutch, but that improved, but it still just didn't feel like it should for a car like that. And it wasn't until I drove a manual 991 recently that I finally understand what a good manual transmission should feel like. And that's kind of changed my perspective a little bit. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the 996 is going to be like, having put in, the new tranny, the new clutch, short shift kit, new cables.
Oh yeah.
Quite excited to see about that.
Oh, that'll be insane. That'll be insane. And it makes a huge difference. My friend's 72 Targa, I think it's 72. He'll tell me if I'm wrong. The first time I drove that, it's got a dog leg first, which is always a little bit of a it's tricky for me to get my head around. But the first time I drove it again, it was just like stirring soup. I was so worried about going from first to reverse that I kept going from first to fourth, and you just couldn't find anything. And then he was used to it because he'd been driving it, but he has installed a what's it called, a Ren shift kit on it, which looks beautiful. It looks period correct. It's got a beautiful wooden knob on the shifter, but the action of that is so perfect. As you shift through the gears, it automatically just springs it into the center. It's amazing. It is a beautiful, beautiful shift now. It makes a huge difference to the driving experience. Massive. Which is an interesting segue. we've talked about getting some guests on the show. Hopefully episode 3, either episode 3 or 4, we're going to be bringing the one and only Darren Pfister on the show.
Exciting. He's a good man.
Yeah. Now, there's a guy who understands how to make a shifter feel good and understands all. What I love about Darren is his whole ethos around his business and the way he's built it is, how do I make the act of driving these cars just more enjoyable and better? I love that. So can't wait to chat to Darren about that.
I'm looking forward to that. Having had his mufflers in my 997 and now my 996, I've had the chance to talk to him a couple of times. I can't wait to talk to him more, get him on the pod. So that's coming up in a future episode. Any closing thoughts, Andy, for our listeners before we say goodbye? I mean, thanks for tuning in, of course.
Yeah, always thanks for tuning in, and thanks for listening to episode 1. And as James said at the top of the episode, just really appreciate all the good feedback you guys have left us. It's been really encouraging, particularly me just stepping into the space, going from guest to co-host. That felt like a big step up. It's been so nice just hearing all the great feedback. Thank you so much, and please keep tuning in. And if you have the chance, I know some people have already left reviews wherever you're listening. If you can do that is amazing and helps us obviously too.
Yeah, that really helps us out. Apple Podcasts, Google, we're sort of on both of those and many more. So as Andy said, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you at the regular time next week. We've got not only Darren Pfister, but we've got some other exciting guests in the pipeline. And as always, get out and drive, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
See you guys.